So now we need to define a Boolean function, right? When we say it's a Boolean function, that means it returns either true or false, a Boolean value, and it's going to be called check repeat. And check repeat is going to increment the index, the array at the provided index. So we've talked about it in the past, and what we have here is get A. Get A is given the repeat array, right? It's received. And then when we run rangrade, we give it the repeat array, and we also give it the index that represents the questions regarding one's grades, right? Which is going to be 0 in our case. It's going to be 1 in this case. It's going to be 2 in this case, and so on. So now we need to define. We're up here in rangrade. We accept the repeat array. We receive the index. And now here we would, before we give out the smart response, we would want to run check index, right? So we go check. Is it check repeat? Yeah, check repeat. Right? So check repeat like that. And then we need to define it, right? So let's come here and say check underscore repeat. And we're going to take in the repeat array and the index, which means we need to give it those values like so. And so when we're over here, you want to say if, right? So we're checking if repeat at that index is greater than 0, right? If that is true, then that means this type of question has been asked before. Okay, so we are going to say print canned response. Okay, and then we say else. I guess there is no else, yeah. So you just want to check if it's greater than 0. If it is, canned response, and then we will increment that array index plus equals 1, right? So how is this going to work? Well, the first time we run the program, it's going to run AI with repeat, and all the elements in repeat are going to be equal to 0. It's going to come up here, right? We pass it the repeat array to get A. Get A is going to check all of these different keywords, and let's say the first one catches. It's going to run rangrade with the repeat array and the index of 0, which represents the get A type of questions. It's going to jump up to here with repeat and the 0 index, going to run check repeat with the repeat and 0. It's going to come up to here, and we're going to check, is the 0 index, the first element in repeat, is it greater than 0? And it is not greater than 0 because we initialized them all to be 0, right? So it's going to be equal to 0. So this is not true. It does not print out the canned response of didn't you ask that question already? Right? It's going to come down here, and now after not printing out the canned response, it's going to increment that first element to not to 0 but to 1. Okay, so then let's say it does that, it comes back here, prints out some kind of a intelligent response, comes back here that ends AI, comes back here that ends AI. I want to ask another question. Yes, I do. It comes back up into the while loop, says ask another question. It runs AI again, right? So then I ask the same, let's assume I ask the same question. Okay, now we're giving it repeat, and repeat, the first element is not 0 anymore, it's 1. So we get to here with the same question and the repeat array with the first element equal to 1. It's going to come up to here. This first check is going to click, and it's going to run rangrade, right, with the index of 0. That's going to come up here to rangrade. We got this repeat array with the first element equal to 1. All the rest are equal to 0 because that's how they were initialized. Index is 0. It's going to run check repeat. We got the repeat array. We got the index. It's going to jump up to here, repeat array, index of 0, and it's going to check, is the first element in repeat greater than 0? And it is, because we incremented it the last question, right, when they asked the same question. So this is going to be a true statement or a true expression, and it's going to print out the canned response. Why are you asking the same question, right? And then it's going to increment that element, the first element, to 2. right? So the next time check repeat is called on that same kind of a question, then this is going to be true again, right? So that's kind of how this works. And yeah, so you want to go ahead and try to incorporate that into your program, test it, make sure it works before moving on to the next task.